Not all of us are actually judgmental. We really don't care what you do, right? I don't care. I think sometimes I see moms at the grocery store and their kids are screaming, and mine just happen to be good at that moment. They're not always. They're like looking at me like, don't judge me. I'm doing my best. I'm not. You're fine. Like, I you.
She doesn't like this question.
She's like, I don't want to talk about finances.
I don't want to talk about it.
For Tommy, it's fulfilling to do that. I think we don't really and we have 2 kids.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fascinating Womanhood channel, where we talk about all things that have to do with femininity and building strong relationships. I am Sherry Lynn, and I am here with my mom, Dixie Andelin Forsyth. Hi.
Hello.
And we're also so excited to have our special guest, Dixie's oldest granddaughter, Lily Browning, and my niece. Hi, Lily.
Hi.
Lily.
And she's here with Grace, her baby.
Youngest.
So we wanted to sit down with Lily today because we never get the chance to talk to young millennial moms. Not only how she manages her day, but just overall questions about what it's like to be a stay-at-home mom.
You know, here at Fascinating Womanhood, we really value the role of mothers. Mothers are women, are the gatekeepers of civilization. A lot of women ask us about this because we're the ones who give birth to every person ever born. And we raise most of them. Women dominate the early childhood development and elementary school. We are the ones who primarily raise children. There's some men that do, but mostly women. And if civilization is going to be saved, it's going to be mostly by women because of our influence. The importance of mothers is so pivotal in human society that you kind of almost can't overstate it enough.
So, Lily, do you want to share us a little bit about yourself, just how long you've been married, you know, your kids? Tell us just a little bit about what's going on with you, other than Grace on your lap.
She's being a bum. So I have been married, I think we're going on the 3rd year now. We have 2 kids, and my oldest is 2, and then Grace is, I think she's 8 months.
She wanted to tell you her age herself.
She wants to be a part of it.
She's nice and friendly. My oldest is not. Tommy's a commercial beekeeper, and I was a cosmetologist, but I quit when I got pregnant with Blair because I got really, really sick. So I had a little bit of hyperemesis with Blair. And then we just kind of decided we just didn't really want anyone else raising our kids. So it just worked out perfect. Plus, being a beekeeper is a super demanding job. So Tommy's gone. He'll be gone at like 4 a.m, and it didn't make sense for me to work too. Our kids would have just been constantly in daycare.
And I've got to say, he has a lot of bees. This isn't just something in the backyard.
Yeah, commercial beekeepers, they run thousands and thousands of hives, and we produce a lot of honey that you eat in like Nabisco products and stuff we sell to them. So it's a very demanding, very important job. I mean, if you didn't have pollinators, you wouldn't have food. So I stay home and take care of the kids and make up the difference where if he was at a more relaxed job, maybe he can help me with, but he just can't. But he does help out where he can. He's very, he set up the camera and everything today.
So you and Tommy made the decision together to stay home?
Yeah, it was actually, I planned on working. I just planned on it. I guess I just assumed that it would happen being so young, and, we're starting out, we're having a baby, and, babies are expensive. But Tommy loves that I'm home, and he loves that I take care of everyone, and I cook, and I clean. That's really important to him, those kind of creature comforts. And if I worked, it's just not possible to do all of that with 2 demanding jobs and then kids. And it just wasn't the lifestyle that we wanted. So, and it wouldn't have created that home environment that both of us were really determined to have. that's why we made the decision for me to stay home.
What do you think about the ladies that say, oh, when you're older, you know, maybe it's more feasible to stay at home, but when you're younger in your 20s, you have a lot more energy and it's boring. Not my words, but other people's words, boring to stay at home. What do you think about that?
Definitely not boring. Especially when you're
boring.
kids. I know.
I mean, I have 7. Cherry has 2. The word boring never crossed my mind when I had little ones.
Well, you would too, right? Your 2 oldest are 18 months apart too. It's not boring.
Well, yeah, my 2 oldest were 18 months apart. I got married when I was 19. I had 2 by the time I was 21. And boring? No, not ever. I never had boring in my life.
It's not at all. Just my life is very busy.
I almost feel like a better choice of words is maybe it's not a good fit for some people versus that it's boring, because it kind of blows my mind to think about any woman at any age. I don't know how you could think it's boring. It kind of blows my mind, other than maybe just not feeling like it's a good fit.
No, I think the word here is hard. It is hard to do it. It's a hard job. But you know, it is the most important job on the face of this planet. They tend to go towards, you know, you see recipes, easy and quick. This is easy. This is easy. It is not easy, but it is so rewarding when you pour yourself into it.
Yeah, there is a lot, like it gets lonely because Tommy's gone so much and I don't get out of the house much. And so I do crave adult conversation, but you know, because for us, our kids are kind of our priority right now. So I find ways around it. I call family members, and sometimes I can weasel away the TV and I'll watch like a cooking show. And I watch, or I listen to audiobooks.
Audiobooks?
Yeah, I read somewhere that there's absolutely no reason for people to think that a stay-at-home mom is not connected to the world as long as she connects herself. And so I try to stay connected, and because a lot of people think that stay-at-home moms are disconnected, but I don't feel like we are at all.
Do you get, one of the questions I know we had was, do you feel like you've had quite a bit of support from friends and family for being a stay-at-home?
Actually, yeah, I get told a lot by my friends, my in-laws and stuff. They're like, you're so lucky you get to stay at home, take care of your kids. I get to do things with my kids that I think they don't often get to do. Like I get to read to Blair. She loves to be read to, and I'm there for all the milestones and all the growing up. And my kids are they're very clingy, so it would be really hard for me to go to work anyway. They're very loving and they need their mom and dad. So
if you did work outside the home too, you would come home and have all the work that you do all day waiting for you.
That's not easy, especially when your kids are young and when they're this young, they just need a lot of attention. Most of my day is actually spent giving them attention. You can tell because she's getting a little antsy.
She's a baby. She's a baby.
Yeah.
And 2-year-olds really still are babies.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm homeschooling an older kid, so I'm doing a lot of different hats right now.
And you know, Fascinating Womanhood is a big priority for me now. But just the other day, Lily's parents and siblings came over. I dropped everything for them to spend time with them. And somebody else came over, another member of the family, the next day, and I moved everything aside for them. And because I can. Now, if it was an appointment, I couldn't. But it's one of the things that we value as our career as a mother, you know, just a person who is interested in relationships. We value relationships. And so we put that priority. When you're a stay-at-home mom, you can kind of put it first, which is great.
So, Lily, with cosmetology, did you think about going back? Do you miss it at all? When I posed this question about how you have an education and you have kind of a career in your past, a lot of the ladies were really interested in hearing about that and like if you miss it or if you plan to go back.
Actually, I really do miss it. Cosmetology is a career where you really get to connect with your clients, and making them pretty is very, very satisfying. And they come back to you and they bring your kids, and you just get to know them in a different way. In fact, they say that oftentimes your cosmetologist that you go to is listened more than your psychiatrist. So there's such a connection there, and I miss that, and I miss the clients, and I miss it a lot, but I don't regret leaving. I keep up with my license, and I do family and friends hair. I'm not totally gone. I just kind of do it out of the bathroom. So
Hey, Lily, some of the ladies want to know how you manage self-care with 2 small children.
So that one's a little bit harder. So instead of doing like big, like a big spa night or whatever, like I used to do when I was single and had no kids, I find little things that I really like. Like I like drinking hot chocolate, and I'll try to find a moment and I'll just drink it by myself, or showers alone, or just little things like that. Like, or I'll watch my favorite cooking show. Just little things to me that are kind of cozy like. I try to sprinkle throughout the day. I'll do a face mask when I can, or sometimes Tommy will take the girls for me, and for the most part, it's just little things throughout the day that I like to do. And actually like to clean. So cleaning's actually, it's a way for me to like emptying out your mind almost as you empty out the garbage. So I find a lot of peace in cleaning.
Yeah, I do too. I understand that. Yeah. Especially when it's done and you step back and you look at how great it looks.
Do you and Tommy get a lot of alone time?
No. No. We don't really even get our bed to ourselves anymore. But my mother-in-law is right next door, and she loves watching the girls. We'll drop her off. Sometimes when we get fed up, we'll drop our kids off and have a little date night, but we are both very attached to our kids. We don't like to be gone from them for too long.
How has having kids changed your marriage?
It's funny, I was thinking about that one. We had our kids pretty fast. we had our first before our first anniversary. I feel like for us it made us stronger. The sacrifices that we made, like me being so sick and stuff, like the sacrifices we made kind of made our bond stronger. And then we had Blair. She was so healing for us. We just loved having her, and we just doted on her all the time. Part of us, for a second, thought we would just be like single parents. You couldn't imagine loving another child more than we loved Blair. And so we really grew closer together. The longer we're married and the more kids we have, like the less fights we do, I think the more we understand each other and more we respect one another.
For Bob and I, when we had our first child, I remember feeling like we are a family.
Yeah.
We are a family feeling. What is your greatest challenge to be a stay-at-home mom?
Right now, the busyness is a little bit, because like I said, I don't get to do a lot of self-care. I think that's one of my challenges. But I feel like the other challenge is I'm really sick of people being opinionated, I guess. Like, I wish we could just support each other as moms. I feel like so many of us have our different things that we do and some cause that we're fighting for. But I wish, we just kind of supported each other, and like whether you wanted to do formula or breastfeed or, Sometimes I don't like how much, women contend over those things. I feel like it's sometimes hard to be friends. They're different than you, and you feel like they're judging you.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of makes me sad that women, particularly our sex, does not support each other in the things we all know are really important to us.
Yeah, I think we used to be really good at it, and then we all had this common cause, I guess. We used to be really good at it, but now there's so much competition. People are like, I want an Instagram house and stuff. There's a lot of petty stuff, I think, that we just indulge in. But we can, I feel like, because we have a lot of modern things that make our lives easier. Because that's
Oh my gosh, I envy you young mothers now, the quality of diapers that you have, the gadgets, like Cherry, you've got this baby monitor. Lily, you may have it too, where you can look at them and they're sleeping.
My baby monitor is pretty great.
The toys are cuter, well, some of them anyway are. And the clothes are just amazing clothes, and it's just, it's really fortunate.
But you know what? In some ways, some of the modern things are very convenient, and in other ways, like Lily is saying, they are more challenging because you didn't have social media when you were a young mother, and you didn't have this kind of community. I guess there's a community of support if you're fortunate to have the support, and then there's the community of the judgment. And I think, I see that a lot on social media is you're not a part of this group of maybe like working moms, or if you're not a part of this group, like Lily said about formula and breastfeeding, it's like there's kind of this little war in a way going on with a lot of moms, and you're more aware of it because of some of these modern conveniences that we have.
Well, that's true too. I guess each generation has their challenges. Somebody was asking, how did you decide you could afford to stay home, and how do you stay within a budget?
That's a big one. I hear that a lot.
I used to do the finances at the beginning of the marriage, but I kept stressing out because I didn't know where the money was coming from. And so I don't really do the finances anymore. And it makes more sense for Tommy to do them because he's a business major and he's really good at all of that. And so I just kind of get a set amount for groceries. We were really blessed that Tommy has a good job where we were able to afford a lot of creature comforts and stuff. For Tommy, it's fulfilling to do that, to provide for his family, and he likes doing that, and I guess I just let him do it. Is really how it goes. So I could not do this as well as I do without his amazing support. We really work like as a team, and he is really helpful, and like sometimes during the night he likes to go be with Blair if she wakes up, so he'll get up and he'll go be with Blair. Or he'll hold Grace and he'll play with the girls. When Grace gets a little bit older, he'll probably do what he used to do with Blair. Sometimes he'd just come home and he would just take Blair. And I wouldn't have to ask him or anything. He wouldn't really say anything except we're going to the gas station or something. And then I could get like a half an hour of alone time. And it was great. So he's super, super helpful. And so even sometimes when I'm cleaning and stuff, and he notices it's overwhelming me, he'll like pitch in. And so I could not do it without Tommy. It's really a two-person act. I always wonder how all these amazing single moms do it, and like
so much. I feel like too, when you made that decision to stay home pretty much right off the bat, and you said that you had your sickness too, which was a part of it, but I think one of the nice things and the benefits about staying home early and making that decision early is you don't have quite as much that you're giving up. Like in my case, when I decided to stay home, I had been working for so long, and you almost get into this mindset of, well, I have this income that I'm letting go of. And I know you said that you worked, but it wasn't as if you had already established kids and worked and like had help. It's almost in a way kind of a blessing to decide that if you can early, because you're not giving up the income. And I think a lot of the questions we have about budget has to do with, can I let go of my income and survive on one?
And I did always think of it as a blessing. We were already pretty much just a housewife those first 9 months, and we just lived off of his one income, and it wasn't really a struggle, and he liked it. And like I said, he had a demanding job. So, having a nice hot meal at the end of the day and a clean house was just really important after, he's covered in like smoke and bee poo. He's like,
I didn't know bees did that on bees.
I didn't either.
They do? Oh, okay. So learn something new. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of friends, Lily? Do you feel like, I know you mentioned earlier it's a little lonely.
So we've moved around a lot, just kind of trying to get situated and stuff. So I haven't really had the opportunity to make a lot of friends. So I have a couple that I stay in contact with.
Well, Lily, you also, you haven't been married all that long, but you also lived in Hawaii for a while. Now you live in Idaho right now, so that's moving quite a bit. It's not just within the same town. You moved far.
We did. We moved to Hawaii for a little bit. We were doing, I like to call it an internship. That's like the best description for it, but that's not really what it was. And we were there learning about queen bees. So queen bees are completely separate from beekeeping. And so we were there for a few months, and that was hard too because we knew we weren't going to stay there. Like there was all these amazing women, but it was like, I'm not.
I'll never see you again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry. Yeah. Even being where we were in Idaho, like there's so many people. So sometimes we'd move from like town to town, and then, it'd be like, I'm not staying, sorry. So we just got a house, so hopefully we're going to be more stable.
Yeah.
That's a good word for it. We'll be more stable. So
Settled, maybe a little bit, yeah.
yeah, so I have a couple of friends. But then again, a lot of my friends my age, for personal reasons, have decided to wait to have kids. So I don't actually meet a lot of moms. I meet some, but I don't meet a lot right around here that
Well,
are my age.
it's got to be difficult too for all moms, or everybody, not just moms. Me too. We're still in the middle of this pandemic thing, so there's a certain amount of work. All of us have experienced loneliness from our normal social life that we would have had anyway. Whether it's church or work or just socializing, it's not been the same. So.
No.
Hopefully, there's going to be ladies watching this long after that's over and going to think, wow, that must have been hard. And it was. It is.
Yeah, it is. It's, yeah. And we moved to our apartment and the pandemic hit, and I was like, shoot! Even though we're in the same town, I can't make friends.
Yeah,
it happened right after I had Grace, too. So I'd already been on lockdown with Grace. She was only a few months. And this whole year, I feel like I've been in quarantine. But I'm grateful I had Grace before the pandemic. I hear some husbands aren't being allowed in the room, and I think that's just horrible.
I don't know. That would be very, very tough.
So essential to just have that support, I feel like. And kudos to the moms who do it alone, but I mean, I'm not one of them. I'm not that strong.
Well, it's one of the reasons that I am so grateful to be working in Fascinating Womanhood, because women really are amazing. It's difficult to do some of the things we do, but we do it, and we can do it. And single mothers and work 2 jobs, and women, it's very, very hard, but women somehow can do this. And we do it better than most men were, because we're naturally good at multitasking, switching gears. It's not that men can't, but it's even harder for them, because they tend to be more specialized.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I feel like that's a strength of theirs too, but also multitasking is super important.
Lily, do you think that Tommy is doing, I guess I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. How do you think he would be doing in his job if you had made that decision to continue to work? Like, do you think that has impacted his success in his own career?
That's a good question.
Well, that's funny you should mention that. He's actually looking to kind of switch career paths right now. His job it's a family business, and you know how it is with families. It can sometimes get kind of messy, and you don't really know where to step because they're family. And it's all for the best, and he's decided to move on. But I think that if I had decided to work, I wouldn't be able to give him the support that he even needed to get through, even the few years that I've been with him and he's been at this job. Obviously, he's been at it longer than I've been with him, and now he's making this career change, and it's scary for him. He knows he's really good at beekeeping, and it's all he's ever really done. It's also exciting for him too, it's a new path. The fact that I'm able to be here and offer him support, and just, I call it like picking up the pieces, I help him sometimes when we do the farmer's market. And so I go and I help him sell and stuff. So I'm just there when he needs me. It's so much help for him, especially since it's just, this huge responsibility. So I think if I had made the decision, I don't think our marriage would be as strong as it is, if I'm being honest. When I think about it, because in marriage, I feel like for us anyway, we need a lot of time to work things out together, and we actually like being together. So if we didn't have that, I think it'd be really hard on both of us, and we'd just be really nitpicking more of the time.
I think it's incredible how men, Mom, you always used to say this to me, and I never truly understood it until I did it. But I think it's incredible how men will step up to the plate when you can give them that chance. And I was afraid with my first child to stay at home because of a lot of these things we've been discussing. I was afraid of the financial part of it. I was afraid of if I could do it. And I've just been so impressed. Very similar story. Not that my husband switched careers, but I've just been really impressed at how much my husband has stepped to the plate to make all this work. And not only that, but do a really amazing job and thrive in his career. And I know, Mom, you went through the same thing. I mean, when you had your first kid, you guys were so young, and Dad didn't have any
He was
of
in
the
undergraduate school. He didn't even have a degree yet. Yeah.
It's kind of a risk.
But yes, but anything worthwhile in life is a lot of work and some risk. And when Lily was talking, it reminded me of my parents. When my mother had 8 children before she kind of realized that my dad was very unhappy in his profession. He was a dentist, and he hated it. I mean, he got into it because of the Second World War, and he had to do something. And so he picked that, and he really was unhappy. And so she encouraged him to do what he really wanted to do. And it was terribly risky. There were 8 kids. The oldest was about 18. The youngest was 1. I mean, there's no more expensive time to be raising your kids than that. None of them were grown. And yet she encouraged him to do what he loved. And he became more successful than he had ever been before. But if she had had a career outside the home, she could not have not only raised us, but spent the time supporting him and doing something that was very scary for him. And he did. I mean, he went into business. He became an entrepreneur. It's not like he got a job somewhere. And being an entrepreneur and being your own boss is terribly scary because you risk everything. And her support of him, her ability to be able to focus on him and support him really helped him.
Yeah, it's a great humility in that, and I'm just learning it, being able to allow your husband some control. I like control over things, which is why I tried doing the finances at the beginning of our marriage. Obviously it didn't work, but just having that trust in your spouse, I think that also builds a really good, strong marriage foundation. We really trust each other with like every bone in our body, and I think it's because we've been able to open up our minds enough, I guess, to allow each other to help one another, at least in our marriage. And I'm sure it's different for other people, but that's how it's worked for us.
I think that's a good point that you're bringing up about the trust, because it's not just hard for the husband, the man, the father to, like you were saying, Mom, with Grandpa, he was having a hard time to make that decision, but it's also a very difficult thing for the woman to go through, the mom, the wife to go through, because you're both scared.
Well, security is one of women's primary needs, financial security.
What's that saying? It's a happy spouse, happy house.
Yes. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of truth to that, because when he's miserable and he comes home and is just miserable, it's stressful.
Yeah, Tommy, like if we're both stressed, we really affect each other, and we live with each other, and we have kids, and so it's really important for us to remember to, try to stay happy. That self-care almost, we both have to do it. So I'm going to admit I wasn't the greatest at first about supporting it, but I've since repented. So
Really, how old were you when you got married?
I was 20. So I was 19 when we got engaged. I was 20 when we got married, and then I was 21 when we had our first baby, and I was 22 when we had our second baby. My 20s have been very full, but I think about it, and I actually think this has been, at least for me, a really good time to have kids. This is the time where kids my age are like out partying all night, right? And we can do that, but I'm at home with my kids, which I'd rather be. That scene's not really my scene anyway, never was. So I feel like the way that I am biologically and stuff right now is like perfect for my kids and how I'm supposed to be doing it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, it totally does.
I'm not very, I'm not a good orator. And plus I have the energy to keep up with my 2-year-old, kind of, she can still run circles around me. But I mean, and then my little baby, I don't know if I could do this when I'm older. And I actually like the idea of being a young parent. Your kids are grown up, but you can go travel the world still, and you have your kids, and you're still young, and that's when you're more financially stable anyway, I guess. So it just made sense to have kids right now.
Well, and being on the other end of that, I can say that there was a time when it felt like I would never have a life where I could have much self-time. Most of your life, your kids are grown. By far, most of your life, your kids are older.
But when you're in the thick of it, it's hard to see the light.
It doesn't feel like it, but it's true. And if you want to have other careers and things, there's plenty of time to do all that, because you can only have children for a relatively short period of time, and then they get older. It doesn't seem like it when you're in it, but they get older too fast.
Even my 2-year-old, I'm kind of like, holy cow. She's like knocking on doors and being polite. And it's just insane to think that just 2 years ago, she was this small. And she
I think she's got milk drunk.
Yep.
Yeah. And I like the binky. I wish she took it.
Babies who take them really help their mothers, but they.
And I realized that I could plug her up.
Yeah, you plug her.
Plug her up. I love it. This has been so fun. One of the things that I love the most about having this conversation is just the connection. Like you were saying earlier, being able to connect with other moms in different places in their lives is really a great message that you're not alone. And even seeing you, Lily, like nursing your baby while we've been talking, like that makes me feel so much better, because there's been so many times where I've been doing that and I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one. And it's just so nice to know that there's other women out there that are going through the same thing, and that there's a lot more of us than we realize, I guess.
Lots.
Yeah. Not all of us are actually judgmental. We really don't care what you do, right? Like, I don't care. I think sometimes I see moms at the grocery store and their kids are screaming, and mine just happen to be good at that moment. They're not always. And they're like looking at me like, don't judge me. I'm doing my best. I'm like, I'm not. You're fine. Like, and one time at church, somebody brought out their child and she was screaming, and Blair was like judging hardcore. And I was like, don't judge. You were just doing that 2 seconds ago. Like, that's why you're out here.
Well, I've noticed little kids, they'll be screaming, then they'll look at another child screaming like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
That's Blair. And I was like, you were just doing that exact
Totally.
good now.
Totally.
Does not give you off the hook.
Yeah.
She has a really mean, judgy look.
This has been really fun. I hope that we can do it again, because I feel like we could talk for a really long time. And I feel like there's so many more things that I could ask. Don't you, Mom? I feel like we could.
Oh, yeah. Maybe Lily will consent to do this again.
And whatever you guys have, hopefully I have the answers, right?
Lily, thank you so much I know this has been hard. You've actually made it look so easy. You're just sitting there like, oh, this is nothing. Thank you for sitting down with us and taking the time. I feel like we should talk longer because now she's asleep, but I don't want to keep you.
She wore out talking on this thing, so.
She's like, I give up.
Look at her. She looks like she gave up.
I love it.
It's a
happy baby sleeping stance.
Yeah. So drunk. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun, and I love this. I don't get it a lot, so thank you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's definitely do it again. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching. Don't forget to look at all the links below, where you can see all the places to connect with us on social media, as well as the link to purchase Dixie's book. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.